Hey, what is going on everybody? Boilon here, and welcome back to another video on Marvel Strike Force. Today, we're going to be talking about Peni Parker in her new Along Came a Spider event, which is going to be starting tomorrow, Monday, at 2 p.m. Pacific. So we're here to talk about exactly everything that you need to know in order to get through this and do it as much as possible. I also hope that you're all having a great weekend, and I am talking to you from Oslo, Norway. So this is just another part of my holiday, and tomorrow I am off to Denmark. So hopefully I can still keep up with some of my videos for you guys all here, but of course you've probably noticed that things have been a little bit lighter than usual. And of course that's just because I'm away. But anyways, let's get to the good stuff. So if you're ready to go, everybody, then let's boil this down. So before we get to the good stuff, of course, I want to talk about the blog post and where all the information related to this event is. And there is a leaderboard attached to this event. Now, normally there's a leaderboard. It seems like they're doing one like every 2 weeks, or essentially every second event. And it's really important because the value that this event then has overall is that much greater. And then when it comes to being, free to play or free to play inputs to the event, it's really important to understand exactly what you need to do in order to be able to push these leaderboards. So that's really important as well. And it seems like a lot of that is going to be ISO 8 campaign energy. So if you've had the chance, I'm going to do this in a separate video, I think, but I think it's really important to understand what free-to-play players can do in order to push events further. And a lot of this, unfortunately, ends up becoming about hoarding. It's not just about spending your power cores during the event. It's about hoarding and spending your power cores before the events as well. I actually was able to hoard about 3,000 ISO 8 energy, which I hope is going to help me and push this leaderboard, because that amounts to like almost 3 extra days worth of ISO 8 energy for this event particularly, which we'll talk about in terms of like, what your points are going to get. So let's take a look at the actual chart. I do have, I think, a separate, this one just shows full screen, so we can kind of take a look a little bit closer in terms of the rewards that are in here. You can see that there's actually Peni Parker shards within the event itself. It's not very many, and largely we're only going to get to this point here, which is about 40 shards. The ones that are down here are well into the MILESTONE, so this really just is not happening. And I wouldn't expect, depending on what the ratio for ISO 8 energy to orb fragments are, I don't really think that it's going to be very good in terms of how far we'll actually get down here. So I wouldn't expect much more than the event item this time around, unfortunately. But I do want to talk about, it's pretty typical other rewards that are in here anyways, but at least it's doing like a mixture of shards and or fragments, the way that you'll unlock Peni Parker. I'm just a bit afraid that it might end up being another Iron Patriot. Now, in terms of, it is an 8-day event, and in terms of the extra, this is really stupid, but this is like whale points, right? So these are like limit points for Peter B. Parker, Spider-Man Pavitra, and Peni Parker, and you'll get most of us will just get 1,000 for the original characters, and there's extra points for 5, 6, and 7 yellow star, but that's whale stuff, right? And then the rest of it is coming from the web milestone and also the spider tech orb fragments, which you're getting from the ISO 8 energy. Now, I do want to give a quick look out at the web milestone here. We'll be glossing over that very quickly once we get to the points. This is very easy to do. So you only need to, I think, achieve the 3rd Alliance donation box, which is very simple to do. So this is very free to play friendly. It's a very easy to clear web milestone. You just have to donate every day, and that's it. It's pretty easy. Now, the leaderboard is really important. Like I said, the value on these leaderboards are just really insane. You do have it the 1 to 3% here. You have 50 Crimson Nanites and 50 Crimson Tachyon Conductors, and that's 100. But they're 400,000 gold apiece. So 100 of these is 40 million gold, which is a lot. And it was about the same amount as the last event as well with I forget which origin it was. But anyways, we had it, which I also got 1 to 3%. So it's getting increasingly more important that if you're trying to push Dark Dimension 7 to score in this 1 to 3% range, so you can reap the benefits of all of these G19 minis. It's just really, really important. I think the Diamond Dawn Orb is just a bonus because I don't believe it was there before. But anyways, it's, you know, hopefully I can pick that up too. And then you can see the Diamond Penny Parkers in the top 1,000. It's not really that big of a deal, right? You know, if you really want diamonds for Penny Parker, you could probably just buy it yourself. So this part's not the biggest deal here. And before we get to everything else, because I'm not mathing the allied arachnids, this is the alliance-based event. This is specifically to do with raiding, and as you can see down below, there is limits to that. It's a 5-day raid event. Doesn't even matter who you're raiding with, and then you're going to collect allied supply orb fragments the same way that you do on the free claim. So I don't know how far we're actually going to get with this, because I don't know how many allied orb fragments we'll get. But I think it's probably down here. I honestly don't think we're going to get to the milestone 15 or 16 with the Peter B. Parker or the Pavitra shards. I think these are whalestones, but we'll see. That means there's a lot of whalestones, but I think that's happening more and more, that we're getting kind of like 5, 6 whalestones. So I don't think that we'll get much more than milestone 14 here. I know that usually you're able to get all of the event currency, so that's probably okay, but beyond that, I wouldn't really expect too much. So that's the Raid Alliance event. Let's actually get to the spreadsheet itself. So here is Along Came a Spider. It is an 8-day event, including ISO 8 Energy Alliance credits, and Spider Society and raids are using them. Like I said, it's just the one time, so I mean, that's pretty easy. 250,000 is the total milestone points, but of course we're not going to get there. And the event items, you need 69,000, which is milestone 13. So that's reasonable. I think we'll get there. There's a total of 105,000 event currency up for grabs, which is quite a bit. This is 75,000 in the main milestone and 30,000 in the web milestone. There's 70 Penny Parker shards, but 40 of those are what's reasonable. The other 30 are within the whalestones. So unless you're spending or you have an insane amount of hoarding that you've done, I don't really expect anyone to get there. Now, of course, we don't really know what the free claim is yet, but in the web milestone, you're getting about 48,000 points. And that's 40,000 direct milestone points plus 8,000 orb fragments. So there's quite a lot there. And that's actually, funny enough, that's like almost 2/3 of what you need for the event item. And it's probably more a bulk of the event than the ISO 8 energy spending, which is kind of crazy. Like I said, this is very easy to do, though. You just need to get the 3 donation boxes and move on and collect. Bonus points you get for Peter B, Pav, and Penny. That's 3,000 points there. We already went over that. That's the 1,000 for each character when you use them. Now let's talk about ISO 8 energy. So basically, I want to talk about Iron Patriot's event because it was very similar. And Iron Patriot's orb had an estimated value of 4.58. So I'm using that as a benchmark, but it very well could be better. It also could be worse. So, I mean, it's hard to say and it's hard to predict that in advance, but it's really all the information that I have. So I'm going to be using that as a basis for this in terms of what our expectations for Penny Parker shards are. So this is your total ISO 8 energy. And you get roughly about 1,130 per day. That's if you do all your, you make sure that you get all your free energy, your free refreshes, your ISO packs, so on and so forth, and up to 3 more additional ones. So if you're doing your 200 cores daily, basically, you're getting 1,130 ISO 8 energy. And if this is at 2-to-1 for the ratio, then you would expect about 2,260 fragments per day, or about 1 orb per day. So it'd be almost like 8 orbs essentially over the course of 8 days. Actually, it's about 9 orbs over 8 days if it's 2-to-1. And the potential Penny Parker shards for that is about almost 60. Rounding up, it's about 60 shards, plus the 40 from the milestone is about 100. Yeah, I know it's a little bit less, but that's just because of math. So what that says is that potentially, if it's 2-to-1, that we might just barely unlock Penny Parker shards. Sorry, Penny Parker. Well, and I don't quite like this because this kind of reminds me of Iron Patriot. And if your orb luck is below average, there is a potential where maybe it might not. And I hope that it's not 2-to-1. I hope it's more in the 3-to-1 category, which makes things a little bit better. So I do want to talk about that scenario as well. And essentially, you're just exchanging the 2260 for 3390, just 3-to-1 instead. And that gives you 27,000 fragments, which is, more than that. I think it's about just 13.5 orbs. So in terms of your total Penny Parker shards, it's 80 from the orbs and 120 total. So that gives you more flexibility, and I think that should be more appropriate. But just because I think that's what it should be doesn't mean that what Scopely is going to give us to be. So that's, I guess, the larger question is sort of what will they end up going for? Are they going to go for the 2-to-1? Are they going to go for the 3-to-1? I can't say. I highly doubt it's going to be more than 3-to-1. I don't think they're that generous. And we know that they're trying to push us towards that bare 3-star or, at most like 3.5-star, like not more than that. So I'd be really shocked if it was more than 3-to-1 personally. And so that means the total reasonable points, when we add this all up together, now what's interesting, this is going to be without the free claim, of course. So for the 2-to-1 ratio, you're looking at 69,000, almost on the dot. And up here, which is where you needed to get to for the event item, is 69,000. So with the free claim, we will pass that. But that means you need to make sure that you do everything else to the T and make sure that you don't miss anything. So that's going to be pretty important. If it is 2-to-1, then they've kind of, I don't want to say they've screwed us, but it's not very friendly if it's 2-to-1. So I'm hoping that it's not 2-to-1. I'm hoping it's 3-to-1. So the total reasonable points, if you are 3-to-1 ratio, if it is a 3-to-1 ratio, it's going to be about 78,000. The funny thing is that you're well clearing the event item, but you're actually kind of you're close to milestone 14, but there's not much of a difference overall, I would say, in the overall milestone progress between 2 and 3-to-1. But if it's 3-to-1, that means that your ISO 8 energy is going to go a lot further, which is good news, right? So if you've been hoarding your ISO 8 energy, or if you want to spend, I would recommend spending, if you're trying to compete in the leaderboard, I would personally spend 400 cores daily at a bare minimum. I think when I spent 600 cores daily on the last one, I overshot it a little bit. I ended at rank 2,500, I want to say. So it's entirely up to you guys. I think that if you're willing to core into 600 daily, you're probably safe, I would imagine, on this event. And if you hoarded like I did over a lot of energy, then you're probably also safe. But this is going to be a topic for another video, because I think it's really important to understand what you can do to hoard for events in advance. That's not really going to hurt you that much, especially if you're at level 100 and you don't have a lot of things to farm. I think that's quite easy. Even at some of the loss of some strike pass points, it's not actually going to matter overall if you kind of do it every other day to clear the objective. So just to let you guys know about that. And some final notes for this event. Like I said earlier on, the only free-to-play input in this event is ISO 8 energy, aka spending cores on refreshes, or had you hoarded beforehand. So if you are trying to compete for the leaderboard, that's pretty much the only thing that you can do. But I do believe that this is worth it, in my opinion, because the leaderboard has so much so much value like last time, which is about 40 million gold worth of values coming from strictly the 100 G19 minis. It's a lot. So for anyone who is chasing Dark Dimension 7, this is an absolute must-do event, because you want to make sure that you're scoring in the 1 to 3% to save you a lot of gold in the long term in terms of being able to get to Mephisto a little bit quicker. Fortunately, we do not know the ratio yet, though, because Scopely hates us, so it's either going to be 2 or 3-to-1, and I very much doubt it's going to be as high as 4, but you never know. Maybe they'll be nice. I'm just not expecting it. So that's going to be the end of my video, everyone. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That is going to be the Peni Parker unlock. I will do some updates on my Discord channel when the event goes live, most likely. I'll be able to post things like the estimated value of the orb. That might change, and that very well could change things about like the unlock for Peni. Is that, if we do, wherever I had it over here, the shards, so if her orb is better than what Iron Patriot's shard orb was, then, we might get away with more shards for Peni, and it won't look as grim as this. So a lot of that depends on that. And of course, it depends on the ratio, but I think it's safe to say that it's one of these two. So I just wanted to give people kind of some heads up on that and sort of what to expect. So that's going to be it, everyone. And until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon, signing out.